Previously on The Sports Zoo and Dr. O'Kay.
Are you kidding? This isn't even about sports. Why are you talking about a movie from 2003? What? You think you can do better? You just watch TV and then talk about it. A journey soon begins, its prize reflected in another's eyes. When you see is what you lack, then selfish love will change you back. Whatever. What did you do? The King and Queen of the Ring tournaments march on. Are you sure this is right? It doesn't feel right to me. Do we really need to do records for every single match? Fine. Okay. Wait a minute. You want me to do all that? No. That's crazy. Of course it was okay to not show every single match of King of the Ring. Wait, what? That was the wrong answer. Wait a minute, that's not right. We're approaching the finish line for King and Queen of the Ring. Otis reluctantly falls in line, and the awesome truth might be the greatest of all time. Plus, we adjust Bron Breakker's attitude. Okay, and the news. And the news indeed. Here we go for another week of SmackDown, and we will start with the quarterfinals of the Queen of the Ring tournament, and our match of the week was Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton. Oh, what a combination of power, speed, athleticism, and grace out of both of these performers. Tiffany really tried to work on Bianca's injured left knee, but in the end, it was to no avail, as Bianca was able to stop a prettiest moonsault ever and turn it into a KOD to get the win. Bianca keeps her undefeated streak alive in 2024 with a 5-0 record in one-on-one matches. For Tiffany, she's now dropped 2 in a row televised one-on-one matches, as she is 5-2-1 in 2024. Our other quarterfinal match, wow, what a letdown this one was. Ugh. Nia Jax and Jade Cargill. What a disappointment. We had such promise for this one. 2 extreme powerhouses with a chance to move on to face Bianca. But this one spilled to the outside right away, and Nia quickly went for a steel chair. And when she swung it, Jade caught it and then decided to hit her with it, costing Jade the match by disqualification. So Nia gets the win and advances to face Bianca in the semifinals on Friday. Nia goes to 5-3 in one-on-one matches with this win, while Jade takes her first loss in one-on-one action, falling to 2-1. On the men's side for King of the Ring, we had LA Knight facing Tama Tonga, and the Bloodline did its normal thing, where, just as it looked like Knight was ready to hit a BFT, Tonga Loa pulled Tama Tonga under the ropes, and Solo Sikoa then stared down Knight, which was enough of a distraction for Tama Tonga to hit a flatliner to get the win once Knight re-entered the ring. Tama Tonga is now 3-0 in all matches since joining the WWE, while Knight has cooled off a little bit but is still a pretty good 5-3 in one-on-one matches. In the main event on SmackDown, we saw Randy Orton take on Carmelo Hayes. A pretty good match for a little while, but Hayes made another big mistake. Off of a springboard off the ropes, Orton landed an RKO out of nowhere to get the win. Orton, yet again impressive, going to 6-0-1 in one-on-one matches, while Hayes continues to struggle at just 1-3-1 in 2024. We did have one tag team match this week, and it was DIY facing Angel and Berto of Legado del Fantasma. Now, Escobar and Elektra tried to distract the ref, but they sort of got caught, as the ref couldn't see the interference, but it was enough that both of them were ejected. and this immediately led to DIY meeting in the middle to get the win. DIY has alternated wins throughout all of 2024, and they are now 5-4-1 this year. While Legado del Fantasma, after a pretty good start, they have dropped now to 2-5 in all tag matches. Beyond the mat, for SmackDown, just a couple quick notes. LA Knight seems to have drawn the ire of a couple different superstars as he crossed paths with both Logan Paul and a couple times with Carmelo Hayes. Speaking of Logan Paul, he apparently had some good lawyering as he was able to get his way out of his championship match with Cody Rhodes being for the United States Championship. He tore up the original contract and had his lawyer present a new one that removed the clause for the US title. Then on Raw, we only had one championship match all week, so we'll start with that. It was for the World Tag Team Championships, defended by the Awesome Truth versus the Judgment Days, Finn Balor and JD McDonough, who won a #1 contenders match last week. And R-Truth yet again channeled his inner John Cena as he and Miz both hit a 5-knuckle shuffle, and then with a little help from Braun Strowman chasing JD McDonough all the way around the ring, Truth hit an attitude adjustment to get the win. For the Awesome Truth, this was their third successful title defense already since WrestleMania, and they are 6-1 since reforming. For Balor and McDonough, this was just their second match in as many weeks, so they are 1-1. Well, geez, you must be awfully proud of Awesome Truth right now. I mean, what do we have here? My goodness, R-Truth is just really channeling Cena every single week now. He's like his own younger brother. I guess he does say he was his childhood hero, so it makes sense. It's really working. Those 5 moves of doom really pay off and know how to get you a win, right? Yeah, I mean, if they just keep this up, they may never lose the tag team titles. Truth certainly has more overall championships than Cena. I mean, he is like a bazillion time 24/7 champion, so maybe he's the greatest of all time. Then, in the King of the Ring semifinals, we saw Gunther take on main event Jey Uso in the main event of the night. Oh, this was a grueling, painful match to watch as Gunther really focused on Jey's right arm throughout the entire match, rendering it practically useless near the end of the match. It was really painful to watch. But in the end, it turned out not to be that arm that got Gunther the win. Instead, he put a sleeper hold on Jey, and Jey passed out to send Gunther to the finals of the King of the Ring. Gunther is now 7-1 in 2024, and he will face the winner of Randy Orton and Tama Tonga on Friday night. For Jey, he still has a pretty good record at 7-4 in one-on-one matches. For the Queen of the Ring semifinals, we saw the biggest upset of the week when the rookie Lyra Valkyria defeated former champion Io Sky. It looked like Io had squirmed out of a potential Nightwing, but Lyra smartly sat right on top of Io and grabbed her legs to get the pin. This keeps Lyra undefeated at 3-0 on the main roster, while Io falls to 4-2 in one-on-one matches in 2024. In a non-title match, we saw Chad Gable take on Sami Zayn just days before they battle in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental title against Big Bronson Reed. Gable yet again berated the other members of the Alpha Academy and then later forced both Tozawa and Maxine to go backstage after they failed to cheat on Gable's behalf. However, reluctantly, Otis eventually did and clotheslined Sami Zayn in the corner, which immediately led to Gable hitting a Chaos Theory to pin Zayn and get the win. This is now 2 straight wins for Gable, and he's 3-2 in one-on-one action. For Zayn, this stopped a nice 6-match winning streak. In another singles match, we saw Bron Breakker quickly destroy NXT's Kale Dixon. Breakker contemplated life for about 10 to 15 seconds in the corner before he decided to hit 2 spears on Dixon and force the referee to stop the match because Dixon could not continue. But Breakker was not yet done as he continued his assault and eventually hit Dixon in the back of the head with a steel chair, causing Dixon to have to go to the hospital. Breakker still wasn't done, as minutes later, he also decided to spear Ricochet backstage, all because he was not entered into the King of the Ring tournament. But nonetheless, Breakker goes to 5-0 on the main roster, while this was a really tough and painful first match for Kale Dixon. Finally, we had a fatal 4-way match for the #1 contender spot for the Women's Tag Team Championships. This broke down in a matter of seconds as all 4 teams got into the action right away when only 2 teams were legal at any given time. The main highlight of the match was Carter and Chance doing their thing with the best team moves in the business, but it was not enough for them, nor was it for Maxine, as even though she was able to get in some great offense, she was thrown into the air by Zoe, and then Shayna hit her with a flying knee that got them the pin and the win. For Zoe and Shayna, they improved to 7-1 in tag matches when it is just the 2 of them in the match. For Carter and Chance, they have now dropped 6 straight matches after starting the year 2-0. For Ivy and Maxine, they are now 1-3 as a tag team. But for Dakota and Kyrie, this was their first match as a duo, so they are 0-1. Beyond the mat for Raw, we first saw Cruz del Toro being injured backstage. Although we didn't see it at the time, Carlito later told the Judgment Day that it was him. In the trainer's room, we saw Xavier Woods get approved by the doctor that he will now be cleared for competition. But Karrion Kross and Scarlett were right there, with Kross saying that Woods still had time to turn things around. Yet again in another interview, Ludwig Kaiser again reiterated his interest in fighting Sheamus. And lastly, on both shows, the announcers finally addressed the situation with the glitches in the QR codes and even showed a piece of one of the videos in which a therapist was greeting her patient. It seems, however, that WWE has been powerless to stop all of these glitches and QR codes from appearing, so we can only wonder what will happen from here. Now let's go to everyone's favorite segment. Wait a minute, I said we weren't doing that this week. I'm not doing it 2 times in a row. There's just no way. We're going to something else. Okay, fine, I'll make it up. Just hold on. No, what were you thinking this week? So let's instead do an attitude adjustment, this time for Bron Breakker. Let's give the background on why he just might be upset right now. First, he had a strong debut in the Royal Rumble with 4 big eliminations, including Omos. Then, immediately after the Royal Rumble, he was recruited by both brands to join them. While it took several weeks for him to decide, at the same time, he won the NXT Tag Team Championships with Baron Corbin. When he finally decided weeks later, he immediately and in dominating fashion won his first 2 one-on-one matches on the main roster. Then, after WrestleMania, he was drafted in the 2nd round, 6th overall, by Monday Night Raw. But GM Adam Pearce decided to put him on the shelf for the King of the Ring tournament. Nonetheless, he is now 5-0 on the main roster. So with that, why is Breakker mad right now? Well, first off, he is undefeated. He is 5-0 like we just said, and every single match has been quick and decisive, landing 1 or more spears very quickly to get easy wins. Then, after just 2 months, he had to leave the brand that he chose to be on and had to go to the brand that he didn't want to be on by being drafted on Raw. On top of that, on night 1 of the draft, SmackDown selected Carmelo Hayes in the 1st round with the 3rd overall pick before Bron Breakker was selected with the 6th overall pick in the second round by Raw. Even though SmackDown made a big pitch to get Breakker, they still let another NXT rookie get selected before him. On top of that, Raw also selected Ilya Dragunov from NXT, but he was not selected until the 4th round or 15th pick of the draft on night 2. Yet, Pierce decided to enter him into the King of the Ring tournament, even though Dragunov only had one main roster match, while Breakker had already had 4. So after all of these slights, it does seem that Breakker's attitude adjustment is deserved. So we'll see if he can continue to go on a rampage that will finally earn him a title shot. And with that, let's go to our OK question of the week. Take it from here. Okay, here's a quick one. How did Logan Paul get out of putting his US title up for grabs at King and Queen of the Ring? Well, as they say, a good lawyer can get you out of almost anything. If the facts are on your side, pound those. If the law is on your side, pound those. If neither are on your side, well, I can't quite remember what they tell you to do. Or maybe you can at least delay the inevitable for months or years at a time, if you know what I mean. But even sometimes bad lawyers can get you what you want if you're able to take advantage of the other side. And in this case, that is exactly what happened. Logan Paul asked, what has Cody Rhodes done to earn a title shot? Well, truthfully, Rhodes has done pretty much everything. He wins nearly every single match that he's in. He's won 2 straight Royal Rumbles. He won the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania to finish the story. If anyone wants to be a double champion, right now it seems like it should be Cody Rhodes. However, Paul was able to take advantage of Rhodes' good nature, and he was willing to sign the modified second contract just to get that fight with Paul. Nonetheless, Cody, it's great to see that we actually have a fighting champion again on SmackDown. And with that, let's go to our STFs. And this week's STFs, first it was a light week on SmackDown. First, Cody Rhodes was attacked by Jake Paul immediately after signing his contract for their title match at King and Queen of the Ring. For Paul's instigation, he's picking up a fine, but Cody decided that it was a good idea to powerbomb one of Paul's entourage. And we probably agree with that, but we're still going to have to give Rhodes a fine for that. We also saw Nia Jax and Jade Cargill both attempt to hit each other with chairs. Nia instigated with her attempt, but Jade blocked it. Unfortunately, Jade was then successful and caused the disqualification loss. So both of them are picking up a fine for that. Neither of them will get anything extra for post-match brawl because that was even. Lastly on SmackDown, Santos Escobar and Elektra Lopez are both going to get a 1-week suspension when Escobar distracted the ref and then Elektra yanked Gargano's foot, knocking him off of the turnbuckle. So because they were both ejected, this is getting escalated from a fine to a suspension. Then on Raw, we have several additional STFs. First, Liv Morgan didn't want to fight Becky Lynch out in the ring, but she had no problem cheap-shotting Lyra backstage. For that, she will get a 1-week suspension. Otis reluctantly clotheslined Sami Zayn during the match. That immediately led to Chad Gable getting the win, which will cost Otis a 1-week suspension. And then we have 2 double takes when Carlito first gets a fine for putting JD McDonough's foot on the bottom rope to stop a pin count during the tag team match. Then he also picks up a suspension for 1 week for attacking Cruz del Toro at the beginning of Raw. Then Bron Breakker with the biggest attacks of the week. He's getting a full month suspension for his brutal post-match attack on Cale Dixon, including sending Dixon to the hospital after a chair shot to the head. On top of that, Breakker is also going to get an extra week tacked onto that when he speared Ricochet backstage for no reason. With that, let's turn to a quick announcement. The Doctor challenged Sports Zoo to improve the WWE draft, and of course, Sports Zoo accepted. So we have been working, and by we, I mostly mean the Sports Zoo has been working on fixing the WWE draft, so look out for that video in the upcoming days. On top of that, the Sports Zoo will also be back for his next Okay Not Okay podcast, where he will bet on the King and Queen of the Ring results. So with that, we saw 2 tickets punched to Jeddah in the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. We also saw Chad Gable pull the strings on Otis, but will Otis remain under his control? And we saw Breakker speak loudly with his actions that he is not happy with Adam Pearce. This has been Dr. O'Kay. I'm reporting on the WWE, where everything is okay.